If you go for extra large microfiber cloths, it doubles up as a sleeping bag.
Hello and welcome to Faster Horses. I'm Paul Wilshaw at Paul Wilshaw on Twitter, and these are my co-hosts Mark Sutcliffe, which is Marks out of 10.
Hello.
And Nick Tomlinson at NT Illustrators.
Hello.
This is Series 3. But if you haven't heard of Series 1 or 2, you can check those out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find us in loads of places. Now you can get this extended version of the same episodes early by signing up to our Faster Horses Patreon, as well as one extra Patreon exclusive episode a month, along with other benefits detailed on the sites. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help the show, and also follow our official Twitter page at Faster Horses UX for regular updates, find show topics and interesting articles and random musings for the team. Also, if you want to give us feedback, send us some feedback. Now, without further ado, let's go on to the show.
Hello, right, so
what's
my old friend?
I come to speak with you again. Do you know what that song's about? Are you recording, Paul?
I am recording, tell us.
All right, cool. Do you know what that song's about? Right,
so I don't want to miss this.
Yeah, don't want to miss.
This is gold. So apparently everyone thinks it's about something dead profound, but what it is Paul Simon, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
From Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
Paul Simon. Yeah, so when he was writing or thinking about writing a song, he'd go into his bathroom and he'd turn all the lights out in the bathroom and just stand there until he thought of an idea or a lyric or a melody or something. So that's song is about
people operate.
Yeah. He just go stand in a tiny black box until inspiration hits.
Yep.
Yeah, which I feel like is how Stephen King comes up with most of his ideas as well, or at least the characters in his books. But yeah, that's what it's about. So it's about like going into the bathroom, turning the lights off, and being like, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I'm here to talk to you again. I need an idea." Which now, when you say it out loud, that sounds like bartering with the devil, really, doesn't it?
It does, really. Maybe that's what he was. So it is profoundly evil.
Yeah, profoundly weird.
I like it.
I feel like most popular artists these days, instead of doing something like that, what they do is they get a dartboard and just fill it with nouns, and then just fling shit at it. Whatever the shit lands on, that's what they make the song about.
I think it's the record labels that use AI. Predict what people are wanting.
I was.
Have you heard some of the AI songs? So
Yes.
they've used AI to make songs by dead people like Kurt Cobain and stuff like that, and Amy Winehouse.
Yeah.
They're worryingly convincing.
Right, not just like sinisterly butchered. I was listening to an artificial intelligence virtual artist. As it's called on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a TED talk about it. She's an it. She's an algorithm. But we're in love, you know. she sends me love letters and everything. Love songs. But yeah, they just generate a new song according to a random theme once every couple of weeks and slap it on YouTube. So if you're interested,
Sounds awful.
It's surprisingly good, but a lot of it's pretty generic stuff like epic music. And I don't know if you've listened to a lot of epic music, but after about 30 minutes, it all starts to sound the same.
Yep.
Like, Not very epic at all.
Yeah, like is it John Williams? Apparently, if you try to sing the theme to Indiana Jones, then to Superman, then to Star Wars main theme, typically people
can't tell the difference.
can't navigate clearly between the three of them.
No, if someone says like sing the Superman theme tune or sing the Star Wars theme tune to me, it's a 50-50 chance that I'm gonna get it either one like mixed up.
I just belt out a good tenor for Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, that's similar as us, isn't it?
He's very I can't think of the word. He uses a lot of the same themes.
Yeah. But
I mean, he is an absolute genius, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
From the man.
Yeah. For one song, just played different
Like
versions.
differently each time.
I mean, yeah. It plays all the same notes, but it just plays them in different orders.
Yeah.
Slightly different orders, yeah.
Sounds like
But then
this
again, you can
podcast.
say that about all musicians. That's also
yeah.
true, yeah.
That was essentially the joke I was making. Man.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So what's the topic today, Paul? Have you volunteered a topic today?
Have I volunteered a topic? The topic today is mobile first.
Excellent.
It's a term that a lot of people use and go, oh yeah, mobile first was super cool. Yeah, so this is a phrase that gets bandied around a lot, and it's quite interesting because a lot of people say, oh yeah, mobile first. We should be mobile first. We should make our and basically mobile first is designing stuff or designing websites that fit onto a mobile device and designing that first before you do anything else. That's mobile first in a nutshell.
So, are we talking primarily web stuff, or are we talking applications as well?
Applications as well.
Yeah, I think almost by definition, apps now are mobile first, aren't they?
Well, I don't know, because you've got web apps now.
Yeah.
There are certain web apps that only work because they're complex systems, which is another podcast you can listen to. Or they're more complex than mobile insinuates, shall we say, mobile usage lends itself to, such as Figma. We did a podcast on that as well. I'm getting all of it in today.
Totally are.
And so I'd go as far to say is mobile first is well and good, but it shouldn't be the hill upon which you die, because designing something for mobile first indicates kind of pre-indicates a usage and how it's going to be used. So you can't just cast it on UX, everything. Yeah, you can't just say across the board mobile first is what's happening in the future, or the future of UX or the future of design, because there are, I think as we move forward, there are certain applications which sure are best on mobile, such as managing your smart devices or ordering your food, stuff like that. But then if you've got more specialised things such as design software or even word processors and stuff like that, tends to be better. I say tends to be. That's my opinion on desktop.
Ooh, I'm going to disagree with you here, Mark.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I think everything should be at least some version mobile-esque. And I think, like Photoshop, it bugs me that I can't use Photoshop, although I don't really use Photoshop anymore, on my mobile, and I have to kind of like get my laptop out, plug it in if it's got no battery, boot it up, get the latest update, and it's a real pain in the arse. And let's face it, mobiles now are pretty fast. And there was it Lenovo or someone, like about 10 years ago, they had this concept. You'd bring your own phone into work, plug it into a dock, and then you could use all the apps and all the programs straight from your mobile in a more desktop setting. So I'd say, and I think this is where Adobe have lost out a little bit, because if Photoshop was available on mobile like 5-6 years ago, there'd be less transition over to some new world. And I think if you make it for mobile, if you make it well, then you can do pretty much anything on mobile.
I know what you mean. I think, the distinction I was making was that if you have, there are certain tasks that whilst you can have a version that works on mobile, I think the Photoshop example was really good. Ultimately, I think Photoshop in its current state relies, because of its complexity, relies on certain things you only get with a keyboard and mouse, peripherals and stuff like that. So I think the version that you get on your phone would have to necessarily be a stripped back version or a bridge, but that doesn't mean it's not fully integrated. If you do have you could have a docking system, as it were, where you've got so much functionality to, I don't know, pre-play with raw footage or raw photos, for example, and then you put your phone in the dock, or you go on to Creative Cloud on your PC and it's automatically there for you to use. I think something like that would be great. Could you call that a mobile first solution though, or is it just better integration with devices?
Well, this is where the term, this is where it's key, mobile first, because I think this is the problem that a lot of apps have had, is because you've got to transition from a desktop, an old legacy software, onto a different device. And people have got used to using keyboards and mice and, shortcut keys and things like that. So it's much harder for that transgression from desktop then to a mobile device. And I think this is where a lot of people say mobile first, because then if you design for mobile first, everything works on the desktop, even maybe on heat on the desktop, so you can have then you have all your shortcut keys, then you have your mouse interaction, but essentially, it shouldn't really matter what device you're on or what device you're using.
When you're talking about Photoshop as mobile first, does that imply that the preferred method that you would then interact with Photoshop would be mobile above all else, or are you just using it as a starting place that you then build from as the initial version?
Well, if you think about kind of how we take photos now, kind of when Photoshop first came out, it was all 35mm film. Then we went on to digital film. You had to put an SD card in, stuff like that. But as phones have developed, the quality of photos so much better. It's all on your device or all in the cloud, and it's all accessible there. So why wouldn't you want to edit photographs using the device you took it on?
So even Photoshop these days isn't the primary Adobe software to edit photographs on now, though, is it?
No, not really. But if you wanted to do say something creative or a quick mock-up or something in a meeting, you just couldn't do it.
I mean, so my issue with that is I can't even conceive of wanting to use Photoshop on a mobile, let alone actually going through with it and figuring out that whole UI and stuff, how that would even work. But isn't that what iPads are for? You can get Photoshop and Illustrator and Procreate and stuff on an iPad now, which is that stepping stone between the two platforms, isn't it? It's in terms of scaling and screen arrangement and stuff, it's all laid out like a desktop, but it's still all primarily touch functionality. Obviously Apple Pencil comes in when you're dealing with illustration and stuff like that, but are we not beyond the point now in that particular case where we're beyond thinking about mobile first, or where it's even should be regarded as a different thing, a different discipline? I think when I kind of brought up this, my kind of interest lied around a lot of people talk about developing for mobile it's a separate subject, it's a separate set of skills than normal desktop. Well, I say normal because we develop for desktop primarily in our day-to-day jobs. And it's almost treated as if it's a completely different skill set, whereas obviously there are different things that you need to think about and slightly different ways that people will interact, but it all comes back to the central tenets of just what UX is.
Oh yeah, 100%. And there's no difference. There's no different skills there whatsoever. I think the only difference is kind of your experience with it. But your experience is as good as using apps that are nice to use, or using different devices and failing fast. those kind of things. So it's no different designing, and code should be no different as well. You shouldn't have loads of different repos of code and kind of like, oh, this code has to work on here, this code has to work on there. There's obviously, kind of like if you're doing a native app, the Swift, or if you're using Android, Java, and then kind of like, there's other things like React, or I've been teaching myself which is a brand new programming language developed by my friend. I'll give them a plug. But it's basically then you can.
Plug.
I know, but you can target the output you want. So you write the code once, and then you compile it into whatever format you want, and then it comes out as a native Swift, Java, Node.js, or whatever.
Oh wow! Is that like a perfect translation, or is it a bit janky?
It's perfect translation. It's OAU.
OAU.
AU, just AU.
Ah, AU.
How?
But it's pronounced O.
Oh.
Like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I've just got Ferris Bueller in my head now.
But that's kind of where I see code going, and code more accessible as well for people to use. Long has code been behind the Iron Curtain, and people kind of like, that's we can't do that in code, which I think is always a real cop out when people say that. You can't. Oh well, this is not the way the software works, and you're like, well. Yeah, do users care what the software is?
Yeah,
No.
well, that's it. Yeah,
They don't care. Kind of like, you've decided to use .NET. They don't care about that. that's your tough shit. So, and like nobody goes to ASOS and goes like, oh, wait a minute, let me check. I know I can't buy those pair of shorts I really wanted to because it was developed in a different language.
Yeah. I can't buy anything off this website because I've got an Android phone.
Yeah.
And it was developed for like an Apple device.
Or Windows device. It's still on my old Windows device. I've got to dust it off. Crazy. But yeah, Go on, Mark.
I was just going to say, I've got a couple of things that have come to mind here. I really like what Nick was saying, about does mobile first mean primarily mobile or initially mobile? I think that's a really interesting distinction, because I think what it is if you have something that is initially mobile, for example, and you do go down that road, then is it that you're doing an equal integration thing? Are we thinking about a mobile solution, or are we just think or are we just thinking of a solution that's consistent across all its touch points?
Good point.
I think one of the things about mobile first that I'm conscious of is it feels like an e-commerce term.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's weighted towards e-commerce and sales. And I think the first time I encountered it was around the time where it appeared people were moving from desktop to primarily like mobile and tablet and stuff. And I think even really back then people classed tablet as almost as mobile back then as well.
I think they still do. A lot of people still do.
I mean, I often forget. I've got like the iPad Pro, like 12.5-inch, and I often forget that is like the outlier. That's an absolutely massive thing, isn't it? Most tablets that people have, it's like a Kindle or a Amazon. What are they called? Fire or whatever.
Fire.
Yeah.
Like actually quite small devices, aren't they?
Yeah. Compared to the size that a lot of phones are now. Because I think one of the things that's interesting is, I'd say that very often I'll be working on my phone buying stuff, for example, and if I'm buying clothes, as you can imagine, I'm very specific, and I'm comparing probably about between 4 and 64 items at any given time.
Wow.
And I think I run out of screen real estate.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie, or at least the navigation that's currently built into something like mobile means that I'm not able to flick quickly as I might be able to do with either just tabs on a browser or something like a mouse. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Does the hardware, in terms of, I'm saying the word peripherals again, but I guess that's what it is. Does the hardware in terms of peripherals, does that make a big difference on like the use case for mobile first?
I think there's quite a few factors to consider. I'd suggest that the website you're using was a desktop site first, and they've just made it mobile friendly along the way. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of go like, oh, wait a minute, our desktop site, we've got to think about mobile. Let's do mobile first. And then it's just reformatting the same old shit. And expecting people to use tabs and keyboard shortcuts and comparing things. I'm the same as you. You know, if you want to compare a couple of things together, it's really hard to do because it's come from kind of like, the browsers, Safari, Chrome, and Firefox that, have had all those tabs, and we can, you can press Command Tide and things like that just to go between them. So that's...
You've just made me think of one really good question that I just asked myself, is like, so if we're still talking about e-commerce and stuff, like what will have happened originally is most of these particularly older companies and stuff will have had a website as soon as they became like the thing to do, and then they will have made that website work on mobile slightly better. But then what companies kind of went on to do is create an app for themselves, like ASOS, like Size, like Amazon's got one, obviously. And I always find it really interesting when viewing their website on your mobile is a completely different experience to using the app for the same site.
Yes.
But why is that? Why, is there a technical reason? Does that go back again to like code and the way that they've executed it? Why can't you make... If you've made an app that's really good and a really good experience, why can't you make your website just behave in exactly the same way that the app does?
I think it's all down to legacy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's almost as if they focus so much on an app which they view as an enclosed ecosystem almost.
Yeah.
So that when it comes to actually reconsidering the website, the desktop website, or indeed the website responsive on mobile as well, it's a different team managing it. It's so much older. The code's not as new, stuff like that. So you encounter these issues that mean that it just gets left to the wayside. It's not an equal consideration for a whole solution. It's just different, disparate solutions not brought together.
That's quite interesting, isn't it? Like, I bet you could really spend some time unpacking that. Like, what would they see, do you think, as the number one method then? Do you reckon they still think about the website being the number one?
I reckon they respond to whatever has the biggest ROI. I reckon it comes down to numbers, and I mean financial numbers, which might not be the biggest indicator. I wouldn't take that as the biggest indicator of success in this. Certainly not with any longevity in mind. But it doesn't future-proof you.
I think I was reading a couple of weeks ago that most of ASOS's revenue, about 90%, comes from mobile devices.
Yeah.
So this is probably why, again, the website doesn't look anything like the mobile app, because their board has put the resources, the R&D, into the mobile app and into mobile over the desktop website. And why develop something that less than 10% of your customers are using?
Yeah, well, this is what I was kind of alluding to when I asked that, is that my experience isn't necessarily, like, in the brief experience I've had in e-commerce, wouldn't be like... It's all kind of based on like the opinion of the guys at the top, who aren't necessarily as close to the reality of what's actually happening as they probably should be to make those decisions. And I think they're probably just like, oh well, the website's been there for ages, so obviously that's what we're going to focus on.
Yep.
Whereas I think for people who probably shop on things like ASOS and stuff, they probably would defer to the app, wouldn't they? That kind of what I'm assuming the demographic is for ASOS without doing any research or looking into it. Like, I imagine they're a fairly specific age bracket.
Anyone in this room is the key demographic for ASOS.
Oh, I don't know nowadays. I don't know, because I think they've tried to, they're trying to go past the millennials, aren't they? They brought out Debenhams and, and a lot of their stuff now. They're reaching that older demographic. But I think, though, this is where kind of like Monzo and Revolut have had massive success over some of the the big five banks.
Can you even access them on a desktop?
No, I don't think so. You may be able to kind of like some kind of like limited way, but yeah, they are definitively mobile first.
Now, that's an interesting one, because at this point, I'd argue that being mobile exclusive can be not just as problematic, but it can have problems. Yeah. So, for example, what was it? There was an application, like a chat app I was trying to use, and I was trying to chat to someone whilst I was working, which I shouldn't have been doing, but never mind.
Sorry, Rob.
Oh no, this was years ago, I promise. I've since sussed out better solutions. But I was in the situation where...
You mean become way more professional, Mark?
Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean. So I and I found myself, because I wasn't able to use the app online, or any kind of simulacrum of the app online, any kind of variant. I was having to pick up my phone, unlock my phone, open the app, type the message, put my phone down, get back into work. I was context shifting as well, because of the latency between picking up my phone and opening the app. Whereas an example would be using WhatsApp. You can use WhatsApp on your phone or on your desktop, and I found that I can have it open on my desktop, no problem. The moment I'm expected to go solely to my phone for it, then there's a complete break in my workflow when I'm trying to focus on something on my computer.
Yeah, definitely.
And whilst for messaging, it's easy to say, well, don't use it whilst you're working. If you're trying to do your finances, and I use a Google Sheet for mine, and I prefer to do that on my laptop, because there's more data at once, it's a larger screen, back to peripherals. And then I was going to refer to Monzo. Well, I have to have my phone open. All of a sudden, I have to use both devices at once to have my preferred way of interaction. And it just feels cumbersome.
Yeah.
So,
totally. Go on, Nick.
I was just going to say, is it a little bit of... not overstimulation, but cognitive overload as well. Just dealing with two devices at the same time is just a little bit. I think
so. Yeah, because you do have to shift context, but at the same time, I think that the emphasis I'm trying to make here is that having something mobile exclusive, I find limiting, because I don't have the choice. Whereas if something's mobile first, such as a banking app, and I have the option to use that, there are certain contexts where that's really useful. Right. But if it's mobile exclusive, then I've found that there are just as many contexts where not having it available in the same spaces where my focus primarily is destructive to my workflow, shall we say.
Right, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Hey there, Paul.
Hey, yeah, I am. My dog was barking in the background. Someone's walking past or something.
How dare
I heard someone's phone ping as well earlier.
I know. Look,
was that you as well, Paul?
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't me. I'm
on, right. So I'm operating with two unprofessional individuals instead of just
it's not me. Anyone who would send me a text message is on this call with me now.
That's true enough. Yeah.
It might be my parents again. Shut up. There we go. Yeah, I think that's really an interesting point, because that mobile exclusive thing is a tricky problem to solve, because not only do you have to then keep up with operating systems on a myriad of different platforms, and I remember, working in mobile banking, we had I think it was like plus or minus 2. So, and we'd go back to and support 2 operating systems below the current one, which is fine. But then when you think about some of your demographic, if you think, banking has to be accessible to every single person, not everybody can afford the latest phone that works on the latest operating system, or even an operating system that's 2 years out of date. Because I think, is it the iPhone 7 now is can't take the latest iOS 14 update or 15
that
updates.
Feels like an interesting little. Are you saying it can't, or that it's not being, as in it doesn't straight up have the power, or that Apple simply are servicing?
Yeah. I think it's
older products.
It's a mix, isn't it? Because and Google are doing this with the Android operating system now, and you can only go to a certain version of the Android operating system because there's so much in it that you need that processing power, you need that ingrained operating system to do it. And then if you can't support those older devices, you are consciously excluding a massive segment of demographics. So that's a really tricky one, and this is why when you silo teams development into one thing, then you're not going to get a consistent experience, you're not going to get a consistent workflow, which we've talked about. We're not going to get a consistent kind of look and feel even across all those things.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I think consistency in any business is like one of the number one things that you should focus on, especially in terms of like delivering good UX. The UX of like your business should, and the consistency of it across every touch point should be like indistinguishable as much as possible, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I can't think of very many companies that do that very well.
No. Well, we have there's trouble at work in terms of getting bandwidth to retroactively make things consistent with more recent innovations, and that can be really be quite jarring, really, can't it? Because you've made an improvement across the board, and it could be something such as making something more mobile or even better, more accessible. Yeah. And unfortunately it exists in one tiny isolated part of the software, and in itself can become an inconsistency.
And then you get that how do you change, especially if you're dealing with a complex system, how do you change from one consistency to an improved consistency globally? That for some systems that could take years to do.
It can. I think that's where a good, robust design system comes into it, doesn't it?
Another plug for another episode.
We did our previous episode.
Inside the Sausage Factory.
Yeah. Inside the Sausage Factory, a UX with Faster Horses podcast about design systems. Listen on your preferred streaming service today.
Featuring special
Greg
guest
Wallace.
Greg Wallace.
Yeah. Oh, Greg. We hardly knew ye.
Fucking sausage. Oh, that's a good sausage. Oh, look at that.
Beautiful.
I could eat an whole
I've seen
bucket
500,000 of these fuckers. Oh, God.
You have when you stare across at that guy across
That's it. Yeah.
One very particular sausage.
I've seen into the sausage factory.
I've seen how the sausage gets made.
Oh dear me. I'm not a pervert, I promise.
No, he is.
That's what happens when you get locked up for 20 years.
That's it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So one thing I wanted to talk about, actually, about mobile first. I was just gonna say the word accessibility and kind of throw it out there. So what kind of implications does having a mobile first approach or even a mobile exclusive approach, what does that mean for accessibility?
That's a very good question, isn't
It
it?
is. I can answer this, having won some awards in mobile accessibility.
It's Paul Wilshaw at Paul Wilshaw on Twitter.
That's me done for the day. I'll see you later.
Generally, so when iPhones and Android phones had to catch up a little bit, but iPhones were loads and loads better accessibility over desktops for a period of time. I'm not sure that's still true, but the accessibility you have on your mobile device is loads better because you have the read out function, all the accessibility. You have the haptic feedback, which you don't get with a keyboard or a mouse. And you also have there's loads of apps as well, isn't there? There's a really good one that's won quite a few awards called what's it called now? C for Me or something along those lines, where you can get people, if you're partially sighted or have no vision, you can get people to view the world for you and describe it for you.
Oh yes.
And help you along those. And, there's apps as well that act as hearing aids. So what you can do, you can put your phone over by somebody and then it'll transmit that to your hearing aid and you can hear perfectly. So there's things like that. So mobile phones are pretty amazing for accessibility out of the box. Where they don't work is when they've been coded like your desktop site and you copy the UX over. And you have to invent loads of accessibility rules that go on top of that then break everything.
Yeah, they're just hacks more than actual accessibility solutions.
Definitely. So, mobile first, as long as you're kind of playing into the accessibility of the OS, which is generally really good, and, adding some really good things on there, then, out of the box, it's really simple and easy to do. It's where you get that kind of where you want to be a twat and put, and do things that you'd never ever do unless you could see it or unless you could kind of really interact with it or press something really tiny on it, and I think there was especially when mobiles first came out, there was the misconception that you had to cram everything that was above the fold on your desktop app onto the entire screen and the content. So you had these tiny images where you had to pinch and zoom and the tiny touch points, which we all know are generally rubbish everywhere, let alone on mobile. And
I had that experience with an emoji selector on WeChat. But that was on my desktop. And it had to because I'm used to just swiping left and right to choose a different emoji. You can't do that on PC, and there's tiniest little pips, which are, I think, probably half a degree darker than the background they're on.
Oh my god!
I didn't notice them I thought, this selection of emojis is considerably smaller than on my phone. But tiny little apps. You get that weird ghost tension in your hand where you're trying to get so close.
I guess. And then also, you've got to consider as well on mobile apps, you've got less accuracy than kind of moving your mouse around, and if you consider the mouse pointer, it's a very sharp end, that point. But when your fingers aren't sharp and pointy,
stabbing at your screen with your pudgy sausage
I know, definitely, and then if you're walking around and trying to, one-handed, you've got a shopping basket in one hand, trying to do things with another hand, and it's even on my massive phone, trying to do something on the top left, it says check out now.
Let's face it, if you don't have all the fingers on your hands or hands
absolutely,
and the motion and things like that people kind of forget. All those things are kind of really could be detrimental to accessibility.
This is it. I feel
devices.
I feel like the answer is almost in the question, as it were.
Yep.
Mobile first, really, to get the most out of it, especially from an accessibility perspective, means approaching mobile first before you approach have any other solutions, or indeed if you're thinking up a mobile solution, then you do have to go back to the drawing board, because you've got so many more resources, you've got solutions to so many more accessibility problems, but potentially more accessibility problems because you've got situations that could change and stuff like that. You've got a myriad of different uses there, so you really do have to take a step back. But I think that's a good thing, because if you are able to take a step back, you're probably going to find a solution that wasn't even feasible on the desktop in the first place.
Totally. And also, I think, if you consider all those problems as well that you get with mobile, if you can solve all those, then, you're more likely to give your desktop application or website, a better love and care, because, we use, when the world get back to normal, we use our laptops on the train or in small, tight, confined spaces, or, not everybody's working on a desk or has the luxury to work on a desk. Some people have been working throughout the pandemic on a bed or, on the sofa or things
kitchen
like that.
Table or
yeah, so
that was me until, well, it still is me. I'm at my dining room table most of the time.
Yeah. So, and it's those now, where we're more digital nomadic, we need to consider a lot more things than, or you can do, you've got a tiny pointer, you can click on that, or, you can zoom into it and things like that. But, we should consider all those things for all devices, let alone just mobile.
It's a bit like the point that I raised on the complicated systems episode, which you can go back and listen to.
I'm loving all these plugs.
Yeah, we're getting really professional at this now.
Yeah.
But when I was talking about the whole turtle shell Dragon Ball thing, where if you get thrown in at the deep end and you do the difficult job for a long time, i.e., if you got lots of problems that you have to solve to create good Right, you sacked whoever that was.
Yeah, that was Paul.
That was
Paul's
me.
mumsy and dad's saying, "You're still doing that fucking podcast, son."
What was I saying? Yeah, so if you solve all these problems,
get a real job. Sorry, go on.
If you solve all these problems on mobile, when it comes time to do it on desktop, the whole process should be better and UI should be better because you've developed it for something that's small and difficult to interact with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you get that consistency upwards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
rather than having 100 different ways to interact with the same thing.
But I really liked the phrase you used just now, Paul, when you said being a digital nomad.
Yeah,
I think that's a really, because that's probably, I started this conversation with the main kind of situation in mind, the comparative situation of being very focused, sat at a desk.
Yeah,
because that's where my desktop lives. So, mobile first versus desktop first. I was using that frame of mind as my desktop, when really that isn't necessarily the situation we're in anymore.
No,
because even our desktops are moving around with us, and of course I'm probably not going to use my desktop computer or my laptop whilst I'm shopping.
Yep.
Although stranger things have definitely happened. And sometimes I need to get up an elaborate spreadsheet for my watermelon inventory.
I could just imagine Chris pushing you around in his shopping trolley while you're on your...
Whilst I'm on my laptop in another fucking meeting. They should actually modify trolleys. You know how you've got kids... You've got kids' trolleys. Oh no, yours is a more realistic suggestion than what I'm about to suggest. You've got the kids' seats and trolley.
Yeah.
Well, make those adult size.
Oh God, I've thought this for a long time. I thought this for a long time.
So that your partner can push you around doing the shopping whilst you're on your laptop in a meeting.
Yeah.
I can't imagine bringing that up with Drew. You both know Drew. Imagine me going, Drew, whilst we're out at the supermarket today, do you mind pushing me around like a giant toddler whilst you do the shopping and I do some work on my laptop?
She's just like, what, again?
But he said last time would be the last time. Like.
If the seat was at the front, though, you could just like swipe across and just grab everything off the
just
shelf.
sweep things in.
We're done in 5 minutes.
Whether you needed it or not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just grabbing water.
We've accidentally slipped into a UX tombola there.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what, though? For, supermarkets I find them alienating for a huge number of people. Unless you're able-bodied and... you've got all your senses around you. They're horrible places. There's no resting points. If you struggle to walk or things like that, there's no seats in a supermarket where you can take a break.
Well, I know it's hardly a disability, but like as a particularly short person, it's quite it's difficult to get. Like the number of times I've been in the supermarket and like a little old lady's asked me to get her something down from the top shelf.
Yeah. Just had to say, no, I can't. I'm in the same boat as you, love.
I'm not better off than you are.
You're looking down at me now.
But yeah, like it's just simple stuff like that.
It is, yeah. Kind of like supermarkets are a hellhole, and they sell shelves to the highest bidder.
They do.
So,
but to bring it right back round, Sainsbury's by me has actually now got, over the pandemic, they got an app.
Oh yes.
They created it. I didn't actually use it because I didn't.
I've used it.
Is it any good? Is it a scanning? You can use it to scan your goods and pay for your goods.
It's good if you want to drain half of your battery around Sainsbury's.
Right.
Because you have to have your camera on, and there's loads of factors in it. It is good. I'd rather use the provided hand scanners.
Yeah, I was going to say they've already got a thing for that, haven't they? But don't you need to have a Sainsbury's membership or something to use those?
I think you need a Nectar card. Regulars like me and Mark, we're. Yeah.
You've also spotted me at Sainsbury's, Paul.
Yeah, you're definitely
not even registered your existence. I just didn't even see you.
But
you also didn't come and poke my shoulder and say hello, friend. So
I know
it's your fault as well.
This also happened at the museum as well, didn't it? So I'm just a nobody to you out and about. That's what it is.
Most people are, Paul. It's not personal. Just you don't make an impact.
It's all right. I only cry for 10 minutes every night. Don't worry.
Oh well. That's at least 20 minutes less than I cry.
Oh dear.
Right. So
I tried to bring it back down to mobile first, then instead of supermarkets, but I didn't get very far.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. I think.
So to get an answer to my earlier sort of kind of question that I posed, then.
Yeah.
Do you two see it as like a different skill set developing for mobile, or is it still the same UX?
Paul, do you want to go first, or shall I?
You go first, Mark.
I think it is a newer skill set, and I think it's an elaboration, but it's like an upgrade on an older way of doing things. I think mobile first is an approach that you can take that is indicative of a more holistic approach in general. So I think if you take a mobile first approach, then naturally your UX considerations are going to be broader and they're going to be more inclusive and more holistic overall. If you take it, as opposed to just catering towards a specific device or even just a desktop solution.
But you don't necessarily think that as developing or designing for desktop puts you at a disadvantage if someone was to chuck a mobile solution at you and say design for that?
I'd say you'll have to do a bit of adjusting, but it's one of those. I've said this to a couple of people recently. Not everyone's a UX designer, but everyone's a user, and almost everyone's a user of a mobile. So I'd say if you are an experienced UX designer, full stop, then when it comes to using a mobile phone, you'll already have a feel and instinct for the things that are different. And if you've got a good bit of UX principle knowledge behind you, it'll just be a different perspective as opposed to a complete shift in skill set altogether.
Because I would argue if you're doing your due diligence and you're following the process properly, every project, whether you've been working on desktop for 20 years and you're doing a desktop project this week, involves some amount of research and preparation. So if you're doing a mobile thing next week, you're still going to do some research and preparation for it.
Yeah,
It's just you're researching slightly, you're casting the net slightly wider, aren't you?
Even if you're making assumptions based on years of experience, it should be with the idea to validate them. Yeah. At the preferably before it goes into development, but as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I think the skill sets are the same. I think the pitfalls though are if you design for desktop and you try and squash that into a mobile app, because you know it's worked in the past. So why wouldn't it work on mobile? Yeah. I think those are the things to
watch out for.
Yeah, desktop dinosaurs, I think I call them. And watch out for those. And, and there's lots of different ways to interact with a mobile. And if you try and bring, a keyboard and a mouse approach to a mobile, it's not going to work. No. But, as Mark said, there's actually more mobile phones in the world than there are toothbrushes. Crazy fact.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's not true, sure.
It is true. It is true. I did a talk and I did some research, and there are more mobile phones in the world than there are toothbrushes.
Right, is that because you throw your 3 years I've been trying to brush my teeth with my mobile?
Yeah.
My mouth's a fucking mess.
Is that because you throw your toothbrushes away after you're done with them, though? Whereas I've probably got a mobile phone in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's that mobile phone in the drawer. It's that.
Yeah, I was clearing.
So they're not necessarily being used.
Yeah. No. Right. Not necessarily.
Well, it depends what statistics you have access to, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I have three old phones lingering somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And a hard
70% of statistics are made up on the spot, though, aren't they?
Yeah. The same way that 6 out of 5 people can't do fractions.
Oh, I love it. It's good. Yeah, but I don't think. Yeah, mobile isn't a skill set. It's a different approach.
A consideration.
It's not even consideration, because I think you should always think if you're doing something on a desktop, it should always work on mobile anyway. Right. Then you're not gonna fail.
Guaranteed. You've got polls.
That's a faster horse's guarantee. And
you can take that to the mobile banking app.
Only if you sign up to the Patreon.
That's it. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm not sure how much time we've got, but it's interesting to link this to that complex system stuff, because a lot of the solutions we've been talking about that are mobile first aren't complex systems. Stuff like ASOS and your e-commerce stuff like your banking apps. They're talking the general individuals. A lot of individuals trying to do pretty specific things. When you have specialized users with complex goals in mind, then I think you need to start thinking. If you're thinking mobile first, then you really do have to go back to the drawing board. You have to speak to those specialists and figure out what is it they're trying to solve, as opposed to just improving on say, an existing desktop solution. Yeah,
I totally agree, because that's where, the desktop dinosaur comes into play, where you can't, you have that extinction level event that you can't migrate them into a new world. And if you want to translate desktop to mobile, you just can't do it.
Yeah. I think it can be a tricky mindset to go out of though, because if you look at something like Nick and I are in automation. You look at process creation, or creating a flowchart, or just designing something in general, like that. You tend to really lean on the methods that already exist to do that, which is, a flowchart creation tool on desktop. So I think it can be really difficult to reframe that perspective based on... there's probably a correlation between how complex a system is and how difficult it is to reframe it for a mobile-first approach.
Just as a sidebar on that topic, before I'd even done my first interview with Paul for this job, I was already fiddling about with how you could turn the automation process of where we work into a mobile app, and I've still got that somewhere. I look at it sometimes, at the time it felt like something that would be much easier to achieve on a device, on a mobile, using like your standard iPhone interaction and almost the same layout you have on just your home screen on your phone, where you've got apps, and each one of those apps could potentially be a process or something, or a tool. I think it'd lend itself really well to being a mobile first process. That
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at kind of, oh god, here's Coco.
Daddy!
Hello. Yeah, what?
Such a great day at the Centre Park!
Oh.
Great thing!
No, anyway, I have no idea what I was saying. Oh yeah, what I was going to say about you think of automation, and a lot of automation is primarily done through your mobile app. Look at If This Then That. Look at all the automations in Philips Hue app. Look at all the, Siri shortcut. All that automation is baked into, mobile operating systems as well.
It comes back to what we were saying earlier about using what's already integrated within, the device, what comes out of the box with a mobile device to leverage that and to create logic that can be applied to that specialised subject. I think that's
definitely. But
food for thought, definitely.
If you're lining up stuff and dragging it around, on your mobile, why not do that? Probably it's going to be easier as well on mobile.
This has just raised a question in my head. You know how these days, that now that most people work, or a vast majority of people work in an office, sat at a desk, at a desktop using a mouse and keyboard, the phrase "sitting is the new smoking" has come about, and the unforeseen consequences of sitting at a desk all day are having like a profound effect on the workforce. An unforeseen effect on the workforce these days. Can you imagine if we moved on from the desktop to mobile, and everyone's job was on a mobile device? How much of a toll that would take if you had to sit on a chair, or probably even just on a sofa or something, like with you looking down. People's necks have already started to go funny, and kids' necks are going funny from looking down at a mobile.
Is that true? Citation needed on that one.
Yeah, you're getting, again, the faster horses guarantee that is a real thing.
Yeah.
But like that, I can't imagine the toll that'd take if you sat on a mobile phone for 8 hours a day doing your job, doing automations or something.
Well, it depends, doesn't it? The point is that, what you've just stumbled into was essentially that desktop mobile lift and shift trap that we mentioned earlier. The truth is, if we were a mobile-only workforce, then the entire way you work, be that the environment you're in or the tasks you're completing on your device, would be completely different to how we see them now.
I mean, how would you do a home DSE thing for that? Is it DSE?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that stands for.
Where they say, where they make sure that your desk and your chair are set up properly because it's a legal obligation that they have to do that.
Well, yeah, this is it. And the interesting thing is, the law would take at least 8 years to catch up with the shifting workforces.
Yeah, we'd all be using Minority Report style fucking floating grids by the time it's like using a mobile phone at home.
Totally. But yeah, I think It's a tricky one, though, isn't it? Kind of like, could somebody sit on their mobile phone all day, every day?
I mean, they definitely could because they do.
Oh,
But
yeah, they do, yeah.
if you had to do it as a job, I'm sure a lot of people would find a way to weasel out of it.
Well, yeah, but we've said it. We said it again already. If you've got applications that are reading things out to you, or that are visualizing things in different way, or employing haptic feedback to communicate several things at once, then all of a sudden you're actually far more agile and far more free to move around than you were sat at a desk.
Yeah.
I actually think that if we went to a mobile-centered workforce, that we'd actually be a lot more healthier than we currently are sat in place.
Probably a lot more productive as well in terms of the man hours that business has got out of people.
Well, there is that, because they found that. I read this Economist headline, so there's a source for you. Just a headline, mind. Not paying for the bloody thing.
Not the article.
But it said that apparently it wasn't that people were necessarily more productive when they were working from home. The productivity levels were about the same, but they were putting more hours in.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. We could have another podcast about this, but that's what happens when your work life and your living life merge.
What? Did you hear the timer?
I did, yeah. I was trying to not acknowledge it, but yeah, I've found myself in the past month or so, like, I think a lot of this is because I work on the same projects with my girlfriend at home in the same office, but we're like finishing work at 7 o'clock at night just because, like, I mean, we've really not got anything better to do at the moment. I think that's a side effect of coming out of lockdown as well. You forget that everything's open now and you can actually go out and do things. But I just sit and work until the evening now just as something to do. So I can definitely believe that.
Now it's time for UX Tombola, where we randomly pick a product, a thing, a process, or something we do in general life and discuss the user experience of it. Take out the good, the bad, and roast it to perfection.
Right, come on, Nick. Have you got your pipes warmed up?
Come on, John Williams.
Me.
You'd think that I'd think about this beforehand, wouldn't you?
I think you should do it to the Star Wars theme.
Stroke Superman, stroke Jurassic Park.
Sing one of them, and first of all, we'll try and guess which one it is.
Yeah.
Have you just left, Nick?
I can't sing the music and the lyrics at the same time. I'm not Razel or the beatboxer.
No, but you can sing them in a tune. You can sing lyrics in a tune. Isn't that what singers do?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yes.
So, like...
Is everything you've been doing this point meant to be
like... UX Tombola, UX Tombola, UX Tombola.
Yeah, the same words over and over again.
Right,
Yeah,
who's giving it a spin then?
Well, I thought you were.
Yeah, I thought you were wheeling and spinning.
Wheeling and spieling.
That sounds like a detective duo from the early 80s BBC.
Detective John Wheeling and Mark Steeling are wheeling and stealing.
It sounds like they're going to go and raid bloody unclaimed storage lots.
My name's Mark Steeling, and today we've got a right doozy. I can sell this pile of armour to the highest bidder.
This sealed storage container was owned by an 80-year-old woman, Phyllis Gladdenstein, who died earlier this week. And,
right.
No idea.
Anyway, I'm spinning the spinner.
Do it.
And what are we on?
So today's UX Tombola is glasses cloths, in brackets, spectacles.
Oh.
Not to be confused with cloths that you clean pint glasses with, I suspect.
I see.
Okay.
I thought you meant the spectacle of a glasses cloth. And I was thinking,
Well, could be.
What possible spectacle? And the first thing that came to mind was Morris dancers.
Interesting. Yeah, with the big handkerchiefs.
And have you ever seen a Morris dancer without glasses?
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, I have.
Have you, Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
They're like unicorn shite, them bastards.
But after the dance, they put on the glasses.
Oh, I see.
So I don't. Yeah, is that?
And they use their giant Morris Dancer handkerchiefs to clean them before they do.
Oh yeah, totally, with the bells on.
That's it. Maybe that's what. Well, one of the things with glasses cloths is that you're always losing them.
Yeah.
So if we could take a book out of the Morris Dancers book of glasses
make
cleaning,
them bigger,
and make them bigger and put bells on them.
One question I've always had about the glass. I got a glasses cloth in my newest glasses, which I keep in the case, incidentally, Mark, so that I don't lose it. But are you supposed to wash them?
Oh,
I don't think so, because it's microfiber, isn't it? It's meant to be just specifically for
but it doesn't get
particles.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's good at its job, it's dirty pretty soon, isn't it? Which means you're just smearing shit back on your glasses.
Depends what the bloody hell you're doing with your glasses on.
Well, everything.
Oh, the Morris dancing, that's for sure.
I mean, like, I have to. I'll look at my glasses at least once a day. Well, no, but if I make my dinner with them on, I go to the toilet with them on. Like, they're gonna get stuff on them.
What do you go? Do you go like to the toilet face down?
Maybe I shouldn't have said that last part. I like to. What I like to do is stand on my shoulders and then like piss into my own face.
That's where that's going, is it? Right. Okay.
Can I just clarify the definition of a glasses cleaning cloth?
You just did it there.
Well,
yeah.
Is
we assumed the clue was in the name, Paul.
Is it that tiny pissy little square?
Yeah.
That you get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it's. Excuse me. It's. I got quite a decent one with my glasses, but like historically, it was like the crappy little yellow ones that were just made out of cotton that you used to get.
Yeah.
I got quite a nice little microfiber one, as Mark said.
Yeah. Interestingly, there does seem to be a correlation between how much money you spend on your glasses and the quality of the cloth you get.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going wrong.
Yeah, that's it. When you're getting your glasses for £2.50 at Bolton Market, then you're not just sacrificing more than your eyesight there.
Just throwing shade at Bolton Market.
Look. There's lots of quality goods you can get at Bolton Market. A word from our sponsors, Bolton Market.
Yeah.
Hello, would you like to come to Bolton Market? They've got lots of lovely
Welcome to
things.
Bolton Market.
It's me, Mark Steeler. Today we're buying glasses.
My glasses cloth. Mark Steeler's glasses cloth emporium. All the best glasses cloths from around the world. We've got cotton. That's about it. 27,000 varieties of cotton cloth.
But only one fabric. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah.
Where's this going?
Sorry. Go on.
Oh dear. But to continue with my riveting story about the quality correlation of glasses cloths, which wasn't a sentence I thought I'd say today. That's not on the bingo sheet of Mark's vernacular. Was that Christopher had, like, I think he had a pair of a glasses case handed in, which was like a designer one. We're talking thousands of pounds worth of glasses. And he there was no glasses in there, so there wasn't really a great deal he could do, and he ended up bringing the microfiber cloth and case for some reason back home with him one day. And I can tell you that was the finest microfiber glasses cloth I've ever experienced. I've still got it somewhere, but I lost my glasses like 18 months ago, so I've not needed them.
What I find, which is really horrible, and probably due to my purchasing from Bolton Market, is that these cloths are so small that when you rub them on your glasses, because I do this, I wrap the cloth around the lenses and do this pinching motion, and rub it up and down, and then when if your cloth is too small, which is inevitably any cloth, and you end up then smearing a greasy thumb or fingerprints across the bloody glass when you're thinking like, oh shit, I thought I was doing it with the cloth.
You get it just to like optimum cleanliness,
Yeah.
and then you and then your thumb slips off,
Yeah.
and you're grubbing grime back into your glasses again.
Oh God! I should have dipped it in the cow fat or something.
Yeah. That's it. That's a direct scene from Greg Wallace at the sausage factory, where he's industriously cleaning his glasses. He's like, oh, fucking perfect. I don't know what accent he's got now. And then he gets a sausage finger all over it.
And another bugbear is the amount of huffing I have to do to clean my glasses.
You see, I always stuff like that. I'm not much of a clean freak. I mean, you should see the state of my apartment. But stuff like that, I don't like.
Yeah.
Because I just think you're breathing everything onto something that's then going onto your face.
Putting it on your eye.
Yeah, yeah. And especially if like, oh, can I borrow your glasses?
Oh. Oh no.
Fucking goblin breath all over my eyeballs. No, thank you. So get me a cloth. That means I don't have to suffer that, please.
Well, in terms of a solution to this, I almost bought some off Amazon last year, which is like, it's almost like a pair of tongs, but at the end of the tongs are like two little round microfiber pads.
I've seen them, yes.
Have you seen them? And you can't buy them in packs less than like 25. So I was like, a bit excessive. When we were still in the office, I was going to buy a pack and then come in and give them out. So like James and Paul, all those, the other James, all wear glasses. I was just going to buy myself some and then just give a few away to
just
the guys in the
distribute
office.
them out.
Sell them at Bolton Market. That's
Yeah.
Bolton Market.
That feels like it's a very over-engineered solution, though.
yes.
I love it. That's
I mean, it
exactly what we're
seems-
about here at UX Tombola.
It seems very like it's taking a heavy toll on the planet for keeping your glasses clean. That said, Drew's bought some like glasses cleaner wipes, and they look as if they're absolutely terrible for the environment because they come in a box, and then each wipe comes in a packet, and then I'm pretty sure the wipe is not biodegradable or paper.
So it's like what you've got there is 3 levels of plastic.
Yeah, for something that could be achieved by just breathing on it and using my shirt.
Yeah. Which is, incidentally, probably the most common
Way of cleaning your glasses.
Cleaning your glasses, yeah. So when it comes to glasses cloths, really they're not solving a problem, but they're creating problems. Because you've got to lose them. You're going to destroy the environment one way or the other. They get dirty, so they've got a different dependency there. I think just bin them. I think just get rid.
I think there must have been like a USP back in the day where there were like opticians and they were like, if you come to us, you get a free glasses cloth.
Yeah. And they were just handing out a Kleenex tissue to everyone. It'll last you. Don't wash it. It's microfiber.
Yeah.
We've breathed on this one for you already. It's a bit moist.
That word again was moist.
Ooh. That had a proper ASMR reaction, but I did not enjoy it. Get away from me.
I felt a bit wrong in saying it, to be honest.
Oh, well, there's your solution for...
Yeah, there's got to be a better solution. I did see someone invented windscreen wipers. Ooh, look at that time. Oh, look at that. Oh. Someone did invent windscreen wipers for your glasses that I saw once.
What, are they like
is that like
solar-powered?
is it a Shindogu useless invention?
Yes, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see.
Which does remind me actually of more useless inventions. I was in a waiting room once, and there was one of those magazines. Was it like Hello or something banal like that? And they had like a reader's useful inventions spread. It wasn't even a page. It was a spread. And one of my favourite readers' inventions ever was somebody turned old glasses cases into a poop holster for a dog.
Sorry, a what?
A poop holster for a dog, and then they fashioned it around a waistcoat for a dog. And then inside the glasses cases, there was one each side, kind of Western style, that you could put the dog's poo bags in. So if you were not near a bin, the dog could carry its own feces home, which I thought was ingenious. And yeah, I'm sure
it's
more
a strange
uses.
leap from glasses cases.
I know.
I think of several other bags that would do that.
Why does a dog have to take its feces home?
Well, why not? Why do we have to carry it
Sentimental
for them?
reasons.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, can't you just put it in a bin or bury it?
Well,
Or...
this is only if there's not a bin nearby.
Yeah, and you haven't got your trowel or your dibber with you to make
Dibber.
a hole to bury shit with. You don't have a dog, do you, Nick?
No, I'm assuming that they maintain themselves. Is that not the case?
Well, I mean, I think they do. It's just that, this is a consideration of mine. Poo, by and large, biodegradable.
Yeah.
Unless you've been eating excessive amounts of, I don't know,
Plastic.
non-biodegradable bloody glasses wipes, then
I think if the nation didn't have plumbing, I think would soon know about it. Though I don't think we'd just be like.
I know, but I'm
"It's
not
just
talking.
poo."
I'm not talking about en masse rejection of plumbing. I'm saying it doesn't make sense to wrap dog shit in non-biodegradable plastic.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
It is.
right.
No, it is biodegradable.
Is it like the
It is
the food bags?
Like the food bags, yeah.
I wonder what deficit of kind of non-biodegradable bags full of dog shit are now floating around the Gulf Stream, being swallowed by turtles.
485.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
much less than I thought.
Well, the turtles have ate all the others.
Oh, right, I see. Yeah. That's the wrong kind of Kinder Egg, isn't it? You don't want that surprise. Are we done?
That's another episode in the bag. Thanks for listening. Don't forget you can sign up to our Patreon at patreon.com/Faster Horses for an exclusive extended version of this episode, as well as bonus content each month and other perks detailed on the site. Don't forget to subscribe on your preferred streaming service and follow us on Twitter at Faster Horses UX. Catch you in a couple of weeks for another episode, and we'll see you soon.